Days after visiting China, Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov will be visiting New Delhi today. He will be holding a meeting with his Indian counterpart, Dr. S Jaishankar, tomorrow morning and will get on a call with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The topics likely to be discussed are the current status of bilateral relations, with special focus on the recent Quad meeting between India, the United States, Japan and Australia. Russia's close relations with India have become a counterbalance to the Quad group. It can be a focal point of the key talks, especially as the US-Russia relations hit rock bottom under the Biden administration. The forward-looking dialogue is expected to touch upon multiple dimensions of China's growing belligerence in the region. Russian minister is also expected to hear India's perspective on the border standoff with China. Russia has played an important role last year in diffusing tensions between New Delhi and Beijing following the Galwan standoff. This as Moscow continued to supply defense equipment to the Indian military to guard the LAC. The countries are expected to bring up New Delhi's proposed purchase of the S-400 air defense system from Moscow. Remember, this has been India's long-standing friction point with Washington, as it has been discouraging India from pursuing Russian military hardware. A note of discord during the US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's visit to India was his mention of possible sanctions on India for its impending acquisition of the S-400 defense systems. Cooperation on the ongoing coronavirus crisis will also be a major topic of discussion. Russia's COVID-19 vaccine Sputnik V's approval is also expected to be taken up by the Indian regulatory authorities. India's BRICS chairmanship for this year will also be in the focus. As the chair of the BRICS, India will be inviting the member countries for a summit towards the later half of the year. Lavrov will also be accompanied by the Russian Special Envoy to Afghanistan, Zamir Kabulov. The development comes after Moscow hosted the Troika Plus talks involving the US, Russia, China and Pakistan on matters related to Afghanistan. India was not invited to the meet, however. According to sources, Lavrov's visit will be followed by a trip by Russian President Vladimir Putin as well. April could also see the visit of Russian Deputy Prime Minister Yuri Borisov for Intergovernmental Commission meeting talks. Now remember, earlier this year, India's Foreign Secretary Harsh Shringla was on a visit to Moscow, during which he had extended an invitation to the Russian Foreign Minister for an India visit. And earlier, Secretary Vikas Swarup had also visited Moscow for consultations with the Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Vershinin on UNSC-related matters. This is the first visit of any top Russian government official to India this year. On April 6th and 7th, the Russian Foreign Minister will later be visiting Pakistan. The talks with his Pakistan counterpart will surround the status of ties, strengthening of trade and countering terrorism. Now, for more on the Russian Foreign Minister's India visit, Daria Bondarchuk joins us live from Moscow for more. Hi Daria, welcome to WION. Thanks for joining us so much. Now, what does the Russian Foreign Minister seek to gain from bilateral talks with India? What are the priorities on the agenda, and will the subject of China come up?
Well, certainly this visit is seen as a great chance to further enhance bilateral relationship, a strong relationship with both countries, describing it as a special and privileged strategic partnership. We know that certainly the two countries' representatives will assess their approaches and visions on some issues of the global and regional agenda. They will discuss the situation in Afghanistan and the peace talks. As you know, Russia in March has hosted the Troika Plus talks here in Moscow, right, including Russia, US, China, and Pakistan. As it is expected, the Russia's special envoy in Afghanistan may brief his Indian counterparts on the discussions held during that session of peace talks on Afghanistan. Certainly, there will be discussion of the joint technical military cooperation, as you mentioned, the supply of Russia's S-400 long-range missile defense systems. The contract has been signed in 2018 despite pressure from the US and threats of sanctions, and it is expected that Russia will deliver the first batch of the S-400 system to India later this year, and Indian military specialists are expected to undergo training in Russia to operate this. Also, there could be discussions of the joint production of the AK-47 rifles in India, the Russian famous Kalashnikov rifle, which could be produced in India under a joint venture.
Right now, Daria, the India and the United States enjoy a strong relationship while ties between Russia and the United States have been strained lately. So how will this impact the discussions during this visit?
Well, this visit follows Lavrov's visit to China and will be continued by visits to other important countries in the region in terms of global strategic stability. Mr. Lavrov will go then to Pakistan and could visit Iran and Kazakhstan later this month. It is part of a greater tour of Russian top diplomat to Eastern and South Asia. Set as some analysts and observers see as an effort to build up Russia's network of allies and enhance its relations with its neighbors in Asia, in Russia's effort to sort of strengthen and maintain a multipolar world, in which Russia insists all countries have the right to kind of set their domestic and foreign policy agenda independently without sort of applying a lens enforced by the U.S. and enforced or suggested by the U.S. and its allies. And this is seen indeed as a sort of an counterweight to U.S. efforts in the region to build its strategic partnerships with India and some other Asian countries in U.S. efforts to contain both China and Russia.
Right, Daria, my final question for you. What can we expect from the annual India-Russia summit later this year?
Well, as we may remember, it was postponed. It was supposed to happen last year, but was postponed due to the coronavirus pandemic. And this visit is set to kind of put the groundwork necessary for this summit to happen. Hopefully, later this year, it is expected that Russia's President Vladimir Putin may visit India to take part in that summit, and also, of course, all this groundwork that will be undertaken on the intergovernment and interministerial levels to prepare for this top-level meeting that could take place, and certainly also an important summit, another important summit that will take place in India, the BRICS summit this year, with Russia's participation also expected. All these elements and visits and top-level summits are set to further strengthen the strong bilateral relationship between India and Russia, described as a special and privileged strategic partnership.
Right, Daria, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for all your inputs and thank you for joining us on WION on this broadcast. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.